Okay, so now I'm going to officially get started, and my presentation is going to be over creative writing techniques for reluctant writers. My name is Jennifer Goldsby, and my audience is geared towards middle school students. One of the first techniques that we're going to go over is getting students to use their senses. This is a great time to ask children to write a piece as if their audience was a visitor from another planet. And as they're thinking about this, when they're writing, they want to be able to write down, what do they taste? What can they touch? What do they feel? What do they smell? And what do they see? And by doing this, they're going to describe the actual setting to a person who would have no concept of what Earth is like. Another technique that students could use is the one called show, not tell. So this is where they need to describe a time of day or a type of person without actually stating it. So the example I have written here is if a character is poor, they may say that they wear tatty clothing and live in a dilapidated house instead of actually saying that the character is poor. Another technique is to encourage them to get ideas from the world around them. So a lot of children have trouble just getting started. And so what they can actually do is get them to write about one of their favorite toys or a memory of an event to kind of form the basis of the story. So they have something to actually work with. The fourth one is to actually go on an idea hunt. And this is something that teachers can do very easily with their students and have them walk around their school, maybe take them outside, and to have them write down and make notes of anything that they find interesting that could help them write a story. And writing them down like in a list format in a journal would be a good idea. Okay, so another thing to get them to do is write about what they know and what they love. So if you have students, like what I have written here, if they're a fan of horses or dinosaurs or anything else, get them to include this in their stories. And teachers may want to be able to organize maybe a visit to a museum or a zoo to be able to get the children to write about what they experienced that day. Or maybe it might be something, maybe a group that actually comes to the school, and then the kids can write about that when they go back to class. Another technique is to use drama to bring their ideas to life. So when children have the opportunity to act out their role, this is going to help them really build the details and to add actual details into their writing, such as the tone of voice, to extend the dialogue that they wouldn't have otherwise included in their writing. They can also make masks and take turns asking each other questions while they're role playing. So this really gets them thinking like a character would, and they would be able to include this in their stories. A couple more techniques that we have here is to encourage children to read from a variety of genres, so they get lots of ideas and exposure from different types of authors. Using sentence starters such as, I awoke to a startling noise, or I never dreamed my day would begin with. When you give students a sentence starters, this is really going to help those who are just stuck and they don't know where to start. If they use a sentence starter, then they'll be able to easily form a story and it'll start to come to them. And one of the last techniques that I have written here is to let others hear. So when you give students an opportunity to have one listen to their story who is not their teacher or maybe a classmate or their parent, and get them to read their story to somebody else, such as a volunteer that may come to the school, or maybe the students get to go like to a nursing home and visit there. When they're able to read that story, the story that they have written, that really builds on their self-confidence, and they're going to want to keep writing and can't wait to finish their story to start a new one. Okay, I have about another minute here to take you to another to a specific website that I find that's really excellent in creative writing, and that website is called Smart Exchange. So I'm going to go there now. This is what it looks like. in Smart Exchange, whenever you type in your lesson, I'm going to type in creative writing because that is what we're talking about here. And it's already populated for me. I'm going to press enter. And then what's going to happen, you're going to get lots of different choices that as the teacher or even as a student you can choose from. And you can actually get it. It's very interactive, and that's what I like about this website. One that I like in particular is the creative writing mechanics. Don't hit download because you have to have the smart notebook software to be able to access that part. So the piece that students can access actually from home is you want to click on Open a Smart Notebook Express. So that's what I'm going to do now. Give it a second. It's going to come to kind of a screen, a welcome screen, and just leave it alone and the lesson is going to pop up. Here we go, it's coming on. Here's the title slide. I want to scroll down here a little bit and I want to go to the 5th slide, and then the 6th slide here is really where I want to show you how this website is really great and how it can be interactive. So here's something where it says, after finishing your story, you need to make sure of a few things. Whenever you click on the rectangle box, I'll show you what happens. You need to make sure your sentences have a variety of format and you're not repeating the same sentence structure over and over. Use an imaginative choice of words. Make sure to go over your spelling and punctuation. So this is just an example of how Smart Exchange is interactive, and it can you can pick up lessons on pretty much any topic. And again, all I did was just typed in creative writing to make it match what I'm presenting about today. Okay, and then the next piece that I wanted to show you was a PDF here that I have of some more creative writing tips. One of the ones that I kind of wanted to zero in on, kind of go here towards the bottom. Okay. So I wanted to show you some of the common writing mistakes that kids sometimes do, and maybe even adults do. It can be really boring if kids use some of the sentence starters as a day in the life of, or my life as a, or maybe they really have nothing to draw from. They don't have any experiences to draw from, so they just retell stories that they've either seen in a movie or in a TV, in a video game. And that's something that novice writers do, so we want to kind of get away from that and steer them in a different direction. Okay. So this PDF here, and I actually have it uploaded, is a great resource to use to kind of make sure that you're going over with your students, so they know, what are some tips, some things, some reminders to stay away from, or maybe some things to include whenever they're writing. Okay, so we'll go back to the original, to my original presentation here. And so hopefully you don't have any questions, or if you do, go ahead, you can let me know now. And that's just pretty much some techniques here that I wanted to go over about creative writing. Thank you for your time.